grab the last of the 4-pack that I brought. I have that on standby. Fucking tell your
make it
roommate
work.
to fucking.
We'll make it work.
Yo, what is good?
Year.
Welcome to episode 2 of the Be Yourself, Do It Yourself podcast, presented by the 914 Collective and me, AJ Chiarella. This podcast is where I speak to other individuals that are into DIY culture, meaning do-it-yourself culture, and yeah, today I have my boy Donald Perdomo on the podcast, and we are going to do this thing live tonight. We're gonna give this a shot.
Doing it live.
Thanks for being here.
I'm so stoked to be here.
Yeah. Thanks to AJK for making that intro for me. That shit is hot.
I think it's pretty sweet.
Hold on. I'm just throwing my ears in so I can hear us. Now it feels like a good Joe Rogan episode.
Hey, how you doing, cocksuckers?
All right. Yeah, so thanks for being here. If you are tuned in live, appreciate you watching. If you are listening to this afterwards, please subscribe to the podcast on whatever you're listening on, whether that be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, etc., etc., etc. I'm here today eating a slice of cold pizza.
I left my salt and vinegar chips upstairs.
We'll have our minion bring it to us.
Yeah, I just didn't want to crunch on camera, on microphone.
Oh, okay. I'll make sure to show.
Anybody like?
Okay.
Plus, I have like PTSD from when I had a beard. Like I didn't eat croissants for a hot minute because you just get fucking crumbs and
Hell yeah.
pastry flakes.
Thanks for anyone who's in here live right now. Tito, what's up? Appreciate you. Appreciate you tuning in again because I know you gifted like 5 subs on our last, and I have not seen him in so long, dude. I didn't know who it was until after the last stream, and I looked up and I was like, oh, word, it's a homie.
Mario?
Yeah.
Is that Mario?
Yeah.
Oh, sick. Yeah. Yeah. Was popping, kid.
So thanks for watching, dude.
Hey.
So this podcast, as I said earlier, is basically just I am planning on talking to a bunch of individuals that are into creative endeavors, whether that be music, art, running a small business, pretty much anything that's considered doing something for themselves in any kind of capacity, especially if it's community driven. And I wanted to have last week I had my buddy Mike Terry on. Mike Terry is from the Jukebox Romantics, and he plays a bunch of music. He's done the DIY thing for a long time, and I also know that he was just good. He's good with podcasts, and I was like, yeah, that would be a nice icebreaker. But for episode 2, I wanted to have someone, again, close to me and someone that I've known for a really long time and someone that got me into this whole DIY thing, which is my boy Donald. So that's why Donald is sitting here, and really stoked to have him.
What up, y'all? What's poppin'?
All right, so you want to hop into it?
Yeah, let's do it. Hey, thank you for having me.
Dude, thanks for being here.
I'm hyped.
Thanks for putting up with AJ and my shit all the time.
I love this. This is... It just keeps getting better and better with the years, right? Like look at what we're doing right now. We're in this beautiful live room that you guys are. Look at you.
Sorry, I spilled my beer all over the carpet.
Beer. He's a mess, and this nothing changes, guys.
I spilled my beer all over the carpet. Okay. All right. Yeah, dude. No, I appreciate it. Hey, there we go. There's some nice lights.
Sick.
All right. So I was thinking we'd start with talking about your introduction to just like DIY, like where did you get into, like when you were a kid? I don't know if I've ever even talked to you about like when you started playing music, but when you were a kid before music, like what kind of kid were you? Were you really active? Did you do a lot of things? Did you or were you like kind of shy? You're definitely, I can't see you being shy, but like give me a little backdrop of like I know your family structure because I know you, but like give me a
Yeah.
little like
Okay.
the people listening a little backdrop of your family structure and like your life as like a young kid and like what kind of kid you were.
Cool. So I was born in 1990, and I have two older brothers and a younger brother. So, like, I grew up in a house filled with a lot of just like crazy dudes running around, and which is always a lot of fun. Having two older brothers, one that's 6 years older than me and one that's 4 years older than me, uh, made it so I always had someone there that was always doing cool shit that I like wanted to do, right? So like my brothers started riding bikes, and then I wanted to ride bikes. They started skateboarding. I wanted to start skateboarding. They got me into like 90s rap and Blink 182 and like new metal, you know?
Cool.
And so I feel like most of my childhood was spent like doing a lot of fun shit with my brothers, constantly being out. I mean, they were a little older, so when like they got to be in high school, it was a little harder. Like I definitely was reaching, and they definitely inspired me to do a lot of stuff. They are the reason that I started playing music.
I kind of figured that.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I don't think out of all the years, all the talks we've had, I don't think we've ever actually really dove into this before. But I kind of figured that just based off where I met you and the capacity that I met you in. So let's talk about that. Like, what was the start of music? Like, how old were you? What exactly? Obviously, you said your brothers, but like, what got you going? What was the first instrument you picked up? All that jazz.
I mean, like, my parents got me a keyboard when I was like 5, 6 years old, and like a little kind of book that wrapped my head around, kind of just messing around with that. But that wasn't anything that was concrete. And then I played flute in middle school for like a year and a half, and that was all right. That was the one and only time in my entire life that I've ever been able to read music. Like
I never knew that.
Sight read music.
I didn't know you played flute.
Yeah, that's
That's
right.
sick. That's sick.
Fucking badass, yo. Anyone who can play fucking sixth into seventh. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And then
What school did you go to?
commerce. Commerce right after it was turned into a middle school.
Museum or whatever, or that's not the same school.
No, museum is like super close by, but
Yeah, museum became Riverside. I'm thinking of the wrong thing.
yeah, and so my brothers were playing guitar and bass, and so Mike is 6 years older than I am. So when he was in high school, I was like 8, 9 years old, right?
Okay.
And so he started playing around the time I was 9 or 10.
We're talking Nelson.
Mike.
Oh, Mike.
Yeah. Maybe even earlier than that, but it just always kind of seemed like a thing. It wasn't anything that I was like really interested in. And then the blackout happened in 2003, I think. Yeah, it was like 2003. And that was like the huge blackout happened from Maine to one of like the southern states that got the entire East Coast for like a day and a half. And so we spent that evening hanging out on my porch in the house that we used to live on, like right off of North Broadway.
Mm-hmm.
And Mike started playing guitar, like playing his acoustic, and something about it that night just like got me hooked. And immediately, and I distinctly remember years prior he had tried to show me like guitar, and I didn't really.
What age was this?
This was 12 going on to 13 when it finally was like something that I was like, yo.
Cool. Same for me.
Well,
a little earlier for me, but yeah.
Yeah, no, dude, definitely earlier for you. By the time I was like 14, I'm like, who's this little 11-year-old fucking ripping solos and this little badass? Right? And just
all right, so 12, 13, Mike gets you into it. What are you interested in playing at that point? Like what's the music that you're like, oh, this is what I want to learn?
Enema of the State was like the biggest thing in my life, even though that had been out for a long time, but that was like, it was Enema of the State. The first song I remember learning to play was Damn It, which I'm sure is like almost everyone's first song. But Mike had this book. It was the Kiss series is like Keep It Simple.
Okay. Yeah, I think I know what you're
yeah,
talking
and
about.
so they had one on guitar, and so I read through a bunch of that book and kind of forced my fingers into a lot of the shapes that they had without really understanding what I was doing.
Okay.
And then from there, after like a couple of weeks of like my fingers and my hands being in a fuck ton of pain, I just like started learning how to read tabs. And so Damn It was the first one. And then like it
Classic.
wasn't something classical, but it wasn't like Crazy Train. It was like fucking something that everyone gets into, but it wasn't that song that
Smoke on the Water.
no. Oh
Iron
God,
Man.
no.
Iron Man.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Black Sabbath, baby. You were close. You said the Ozzy song. It was actually the Black Sabbath.
I almost said Stairway, but Stairway wasn't for another couple of years.
Iron Man was one of the first things I learned too.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's funny. I think people in our age group, I've talked about this before. Actually, I think I talked about this with Mike Terry. I think it was either Green Day or Blink.
Iron Man.
It was either Green Day
Yeah.
or Blink 182 that like got you into the thing, and then like, especially in, like the punk world, like that was like it was like you learned either a lot of Green Day songs or a lot of Blink songs. I learned both, but I think I weighed more towards a Green Day guy when I was a kid.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I think when I started getting better at playing, there's a lot of songs that I revisited that I really loved that it started becoming a thing where I was like, oh, well, maybe I can try and learn how to play this. Like the entire soundtrack for like Tony Hawk, right? Like all those songs were just like very nostalgic, and you hear them and you think about playing this game, but then they became this thing where it was like, well, I know how to play, so like I can play these
Right.
too, and then you know.
Yeah. No, all right. That's awesome. So, all right. So you're a kid, 12, 13. Mike shows you an acoustic guitar. Is Nelson playing at this point too?
Yeah, so Nelson is playing bass. I think at this point, Nelson and Mike have been playing in a band together. And I'm not playing in a... No. Yes. Yeah, because they played in a band together. They had auditioned at, like, the Battle of Bands at the school, and they were playing in a band together, but then...
Was this Saunders?
Yeah.
Right.
But then Nelson was also playing in a band with our friend John, because he and John, they kind of had their musical journey separately, so, like, Mike got a guitar, I think, for Christmas one year from my folks.
Mm-hmm.
And then Nelson got really into music and started playing bass with one of my mom's family friend's son, who then became his best friend as a result.
Gotcha.
They just started playing music together, and yeah, so they at
was
this time,
was Mike playing guitar?
Mike was playing guitar, yeah.
Okay, because when I first saw Mike, he was playing drums.
So you are
Plan of Attack,
that's probably like
which we will get into for sure.
It's like 3.5 years down the line. But yeah, so they were both playing at this point.
Cool. All right, that's tight. So what was your first band with them? Was Plan of Attack your first band?
No. Oh God, I'm trying to think. Custom Made? No, I couldn't have been it. There was one right before that. I don't even remember. Nelson might. If he's in the chat, he might know who the band was.
What's up, Nelson?
It was myself, my best friend Adam at the time.
I remember Adam.
Our friend Oliverio, and Edgar, his cousin, right?
He said the joint with Ollie. Nelson said
Joy with Ollie, yeah.
Was that the band name?
Well, Oliverio, yeah. The
okay.
kid's name was Ollie, yeah. So maybe it was Custom Made, which I'm pretty sure was the name that Nelson had given the band.
That's actually like a pretty good first band name. Like, if we're being real, like everybody's first band name's pretty bad. I think that's a pretty good one.
Yeah, but the band was awful.
That's what you're not supposed to play. Your first band, if your first band's good, like fuck you. Like, let's be real. Like, your first band is never supposed to be a good band.
Yeah, it was pretty fucking bad. The only two songs that we knew how to play were "Damn It" by Blink and "Cute Without the E" by Taking Back Sunday, and Not Well. And the first,
it's not supposed to be.
Yeah, the first one and only show we ever played was the talent show at Commerce.
That's fire, dude.
I was in
That's
8th
fire.
grade. My God.
Did you play those two songs? Nice.
My fucking dad and little brother came out. I'll never forget that show. It was so good.
And then your dad didn't see you play music.
Never again.
He's like, he sees you play now. He's like, oh, you play?
He's been to 3 other shows, guys.
That's dope. Dude, I'm just messing. I'm just goofing. All right, so sick. So your first band, Custom Made. All right, so then let's fast forward a little bit, unless there's anything in between there and that you feel is like.
Yeah, I mean, like so the entirety of high school was spent like the first portion of high school was spent like playing guitar, but being introduced to this wide range of people who also played music. Because when I was in middle school, it was like the kids who played in band, and then there was like one kid who played drums, and it was like that one kid who like played in church and was like fire, but nobody knew. You know, he was very, very quiet, unassuming kid.
A kid in your high school?
Yeah, in my middle school.
Oh, in your middle school.
Right. So it was like that one kid, everyone who played in band. I played guitar, right? But like I didn't really know anybody else who played anything, and no one ever really like made it a point to show that they played anything.
Right.
So when I got into high school, it was like, oh, here are these people that are not only 3 to 4 years older than me, but they also all play, and they all play really fucking well. Right. And so it was really cool to go into high school and have the alternative kids or the people who listen to this style of music, it be a large group, and then it be a bunch of talented musicians who like I kind of latched onto and learned a lot from. So a lot of the first couple of years were spent meeting people and like being like, oh, dude, like let's hang out. I want to like see you play. I want to like, what are you listening to, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then like junior year, I think, is when like Plan of Attack was a thing.
Okay, all right, so that's when I obviously met you, was when you were in Plan of Attack. I remember
like sophomore, junior year.
My earliest memories of
15
of us as friends. And I want to ask about Yonkers Underground in a second, but my earliest memories of us as friends is the show at Big Mike's in Pelham. I remember we pulled up, and I must have been, maybe I was like maybe 13, at 12 or 13 at the time. It was like probably early 2006. If I were to like guess a time frame, I think it was about early 2006. And I would
early
say
2006 would make me 15, which would make total sense. That would be sophomore year of high school.
Yeah, so I remember that night as we pulled up, and
God,
a bunch of kids were drinking, and a bunch of kids from DeVille were drinking in the back of a Ford Explorer. I think it was Henry's Ford Explorer, and they were probably like 18.
Yeah.
And I remember them being scared of my dad. and they'll be like, "Oh shit! Like, I think he's a cop," or some shit, and like hiding their 40s. And like obviously we knew they were fucking drinking, but like, so whatever, no one cared. But I remember that I think it was the singer from DeVille's birthday party. I think it might have been his 21st birthday, and I was like 12, and we played.
God, dude.
And I remember Ed Polo, shout out Ed Polo, who I have not seen in years.
You Ed the God.
Ed baked out the bathroom at 13 years old.
Nelson does in fact still have photos from that night.
Dude, that's awesome. But I remember you guys played. Definitely played after us, and I remember you played a Red Hot Chili Peppers cover.
Oh my God.
You played.
Jeez.
What did you play?
Dude.
What song?
We played like 3 Red Hot Chili Peppers.
All right, and I know you also played Crazy Train, because we also played Crazy Train. I think we might have both played Crazy Train.
Yeah, I've never had someone younger than me that I just met make me so fucking nervous. You ripped that solo, and I was like, what the fuck?
Shut up.
I'm like, he's a child. What the fuck?
But I remember that night, we were just goofing around, being 13-year-olds and 16. You were 16 maybe at the time?
If it was early 2006, I was 15.
Yeah, you were like 15, 16. I'm February maybe, so I might have been 13 at this point. So I remember us messing around, and we were like, "Yo, Donald." We just realized that you were like really out there and like goofy, and we were just like, "Yo, Donald, you should go dance on our 2 friends over there and like just like dance like on top of them." And you were like, "Oh yeah, okay." And we were talking about our friends Cheyenne and Emily.
Oh my God, yeah.
and you went to 2 older strange women at the bar that we did not know. and you danced on them. And the context of this is that you're like 15 years old, like you're like a heavy set 15-year-old kid dancing on these like women in their mid 20s probably that were like,
like, what the fuck is wrong with this kid? Can someone please come grab their child?
Exactly.
Excuse me, little boy, who let you out tonight? Why are you here?
And I don't know. I just remember that. That's an early story I remember. But then I remember we played another Yonkers Underground show
that's
after
your
that.
fucking introduction.
Dude, it's hilarious. I still remember it to this day. That's how many years ago, man? That's
Y'all never forget that night.
almost
too.
15 years ago now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I remember meeting Ed's parents that night. I don't know why I remember meeting. I think because Ed's dad was there.
He probably was. He came to some of those. His step pop.
His step pops, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, yo, this dude is mad funny. This dude is mad cool. I like this guy.
He drank a lot.
Yeah.
But so then I remember we played another show you guys invited us to play again after that, and it was at the Opus Theater in the Palisades Mall, which I think is a Chipotle now. If we go, I haven't been in the Palisades Mall, but I think the last time I was there, it was a Chipotle. Opus was like a Palisades Mall. It was basically like a movie theater type thing,
No,
but then they had a stage and I remember they had a big screen.
So it was like a place where you could go to get like a meal and watch a show. Because if you remember, they had like the first couple of rows of seats were seating with like tables and shit.
Yeah.
Right. So I almost feel like it was like marketed as like a, like a luxury come and see like a show thing, but also marketed towards younger people to do music. Because then in the entrance of the place, they had 3 practice rooms that had pianos in them.
Mm-hmm.
I remember because John Ziba played the Super Mario Brothers theme for me.
Yes.
Jeez.
That was back.
Man.
Yeah, dude. John. I remember John for a minute was super into playing, like learning video game theme songs on the piano.
Yeah.
Shout out John. I asked him to be on the podcast. I think he was he wasn't feeling it, but I'll get him on here one day. I'll get him on here one day.
If you just talk about that, I mean, also like, how ahead of his time was he that he was trying to learn video game music like that, and like now there are bands who are making a living.
Yeah, right. Exactly. This is 2006 or whatever. All right, so let me ask you about Yonkers Underground then. So Yonkers Underground, for anybody listening that may not know, was basically the DIY music community in Yonkers, New York. At that point in time, it was my introduction. Like before that, like we had played, and I mean mainly like me and John, and then we got Ed, and we had played Battle of the Bands. Basically, we just played like whatever Battle of the Bands we saw because we didn't know anything else. We didn't know other bands or musicians. We didn't know anything. Like we were kids, and so we would just play that, and then we played like the Riverfest, and we played because we played a talent show at the Riverfront Library in 2005, and they saw us play that, and then they asked us to play the Riverfest. But like little things like that, we played that. But this was like that Big Mike's show. Honestly, I think was my first introduction to like, oh, there's like other bands and like other people that do this thing that we're doing. And I really didn't I didn't know shit about it, man. I didn't know anything about it. So I'm just wondering how Yonkers Underground started. Yeah.
I feel like in Yonkers or Westchester, like at that time, from our understanding, the music scene was just like bands who were like cover bands or bands who were playing at like bars. And at that point I was 15, Nelson was what, like 18, 19, right? I feel like the whole thing started because Westchester didn't have that, and right. My brother was going to a lot of Bronx Underground shows, and at that point,
which I definitely at that point I was also doing that a little bit, but I didn't understand how to get into that. I didn't, as a kid, I was like, I don't know how you like get to play this. Like,
right.
I'm not, and I was too like much of a kid to go up to someone and just start a conversation about it.
It seems way more daunting at that age than it actually like is, because it's like the talking to your heroes kind of thing,
right.
like you just I don't know. My brother just went to a lot of Bronx Underground shows, and he was at that point playing music for a couple of years and wanted to bring that to Westchester and have it be a thing where like, clearly there are people who are playing music, and there are a lot of young people who want to do this and want to be able to do this in their hometown and not have to go to the Bronx or to Brooklyn or to Manhattan and like basically go to a venue and wait until your slot, run in and play, and then get kicked out because you're under 21. And then if not, what 15-year-old really has the means to go travel to another state to go play?
Right.
So my brother, saw that. I talked to Dave about how to go about, finding a place. And then Big Mike's happened to be a bar in Pelham. And my bro
clearly didn't give a shit about age.
Yeah. But my brothers my brothers got me my first job in Pelham at this place. At the time it was called Mad Cafe, which I believe now is, well, at the time it was called Steam, then Mad Cafe. Now it's called J Cafe. But the point is, this place is in Pelham, and my brothers, both Mike and Nelson, had known the area for a while. And there was this bar, and Nelson just approached the owner and was like, "Hey, like, how would you feel about having bands come and like play here for a night and figuring out a door deal and stuff?" And it ended up being a really cool thing because it was a thing where the younger audience could come in and out. And I think at that point in time too, like, feels like bar laws were a little lax. I mean, there were a lot of fucking parents there, a lot.
Yeah.
But like anybody who was underage just had a fucking wristband, and anybody who was a bartender, like,
it's gotten weird. It's definitely gotten weird.
It was like a thing where the idea of having a show and having 16-year-olds and 21-year-olds in the same building and there not being something super crazy or fucked up happening was just like cool. It happened and it existed, and my brother did it all around Westchester. Big Mike's was a super cool place and a big supporter for the time that they were around until they closed. Emerald's Tavern, that was on Lake.
Yeah, I remember that place.
That place was great. The Haunt, which prior to being the Haunt was like
Razzoos.
Razzoos, yeah. But like those were places that were avenues to hit up and be like, "Hey, can we come and play a show? And we'll be responsible of people coming in and out. We'll take care of everything." And it's a lot to ask for people at that age, but I think when you're really determined and you want it, you can make it happen. I mean, like.
I agree. I wish I think that we not to get too far off here, but I think that we lack that. I think there's some out there, but I think we lack that a little bit of that younger generation.
Yeah, well, that's
currently. I think like as someone who does things, and as you, like, we both do things, like, dude, we're inching on 30 years old, so it's like, like 30 years, we're almost 30 years old, we're not 17. Like, where are the 17, 16, 15?
Well,
and when I work in the high schools, I will tell you that sometimes I start to spot them out, because for anyone who doesn't know on the podcast, I'm a substitute teacher in the Yonkers public schools, and I do
Pure. That's right.
Oh, nice. I remember that.
It was
spot.
a comedy club. That's right. That's what it was. All right. I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut back to that, but Opus was a comedy club.
Yeah, dude. Okay.
That is right, because I do remember John Black. John Black, yo, shout out to you.
I saw him a couple weeks ago.
My guy.
What's up, John? He bought a T-shirt.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's dope. I would love to have Nelson on here and kind of talk to him about that stuff too at one point. So, I mean, like, yeah, dude, you, like, it's funny because now I'm doing a podcast here, Be Yourself, Do It Yourself, and very much so just about the DIY mentality. And you and Nelson are the people that showed me that for the first time.
Well, what I will say to that and to your point from before is the reason that we don't have a younger generation, and what you and I have been talking about for years at this point, is that there's no motherfucking funding for things like that, for arts.
Yeah, exactly.
When we were going to high school, there was a music program. There was a fucking room dedicated to music.
Yeah.
When we had our battle of the bands, the music teacher came out, and he was a dude who like taught the marching band and taught classical musicians, and he still came out to support shit like that. That doesn't exist. There's no money for things like that. So
they're actually this school year too in Yonkers, they are cutting 8 more music teachers, which is super bummer.
Dude, that's a fucking that.
And it's a bummer because I personally know one of the guys, and man, that guy loves his job and he really cares about his job. Like you talk to the guy and he really cares. And then you're like, man, that guy is losing his job, but some dumbass math teacher that's like doesn't care about being a teacher is gonna keep their job because that's like a state curriculum thing, right? You know, like, and it's like, why don't we just start keeping the good teachers?
Yeah, no, it's fucked
like
up,
that
man.
actually care about the things.
Or like, maybe put an emphasis on things that might be super important. I mean, I think that math is important. I think science is important, but to a certain level, people should understand how to do basic fucking math. And
Yeah.
there are people right now who hold jobs in places who don't know how to do basic math, right? And that's a problem.
This sounds like personal experience from your baristaing.
I just, but
which we will get into.
Yeah.
We will get to the barista parts.
But my point is, like, put emphasis on things that people care about, things that drive people's like creative nature, and like things that are gonna push people to do things outside of the norm. Like, there are people, especially now, dude. Now, where people have been trapped in their homes for months and are just now being able to leave, going back to work, and even those things are like it still feels super crazy. Like we may or may not go into a second lockdown. And for me, having music, the ability to play multiple instruments, and like there are days where I don't pick up the guitar and I only play drums, or I only play guitar, or I play both, and like that is so fucking helpful for me, and having some sort of medium for people to just like put themselves into.
No, yeah.
And that shit is, as it is as much a result for me of growing up with my siblings, as it is growing up in a place where that stuff was offered.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And then when you find that community, it definitely becomes easier to kind of hop in. And for a timestamp on this, it is July 12th, 2020. And the reason I put that on that because he did talk about lockdowns, and currently we are in the middle of a coronavirus pandemic. So if you're listening to this on a podcast app in 2030, that's dude. The internet's forever, bro. You put this up, people can listen to this in 10 years. So, and they might be like, a lockdown? What the hell happened?
All right, if you're listening to this in 2030, because someone's gonna fucking come looking for this podcast, I do not support anything that is not cool with the general population of the world. Okay. That should get me out about pretty much everything.
Yeah, dude, I think we're good. We put it on record. Donald smoking like it's the Joe Rogan podcast out here.
Right.
We're about to have the 914 Collective stock is gonna drop tonight.
I'm just getting lit on this podcast, like fucking Elon Musk. Except I'm not as intelligent or slow speaking, so this is not going to be as interesting. Or you're not going to make good memes out of this. I'm sorry, guys.
Anyway, God. So what was I going to say? Let's jump back in. So all right. So we were talking about. I'm trying to get the timeline of where we were. We were talking about Yonkers Underground. So Yonkers Underground lasted a couple years-ish.
A couple of years. I'm trying to think.
Did you guys ever do shows at like the Scarsdale Teen Center and I don't know, like places like the bowling alley? I know like there was shows at like the White Plains Bowling Alley. I went to a couple of those, but I was a little young for that stuff.
We found out about the Scarsdale Teen Center because our friend John. So we have a friend that we grew up with. My brother's Nelson's best friend. His name is John. He's half Arabic, so we grew up calling him Habibi John. And so Habibi John took us to Scarsdale one night. It was me, my brother, I think Adam and John, and maybe Chris. And we had just gotten off the train, dude. I don't know. We were like walking around, and we start walking towards the noise. Mind you, it feels like what's the middle of the night. It's probably like 7 o'clock at night. It's just like really dark out. And we walk towards the music, and we get outside the front doors, and it's just fucking packed, dude. Like the front door entrance to this place is like open, and there's people sticking out. and it's fucking Daly's Gone Wrong.
Oh, wow.
That was my introduction to Daly's Gone Wrong. I had to have been like 16, 17, and they were playing Die, Die, Die. Right?
Dude, that was my MySpace song for a minute for sure.
And so it was super cool.
I said this on the last podcast too about a Cleve Agents song, but I
Yeah.
think for a minute I had Cleve Agents, and then for a minute I had Daly's Got Wrong as my MySpace profile songs.
Yeah, it's so good because like, fuck, man, I remember hearing their music and just like my brain shattering, you know, my world and my bubble being so small and just being like, what the fuck is going on?
So shout
First
out
off,
Daly's for still being around.
Yo, for real, Daly's Gone Wrong.
Shout
the
out for still
OGs.
Yo, seriously, dude. Honestly. Shout out
yeah,
Joe.
and so watching them was incredible. Seeing them do ska and like metalcore and punk music was cool. But that was like our introduction to that place. I don't know or think that my brother ever booked any shows there. And whenever I think about the Yonkers Underground too, I always really think about it as something that my brother did and something that I was very fortunate to just like
Be a part of.
Yeah, my brother would be like, "Well, we're doing the show at this place. Like, who do you think would be a good band to get on, or like, do you know anybody in the area and stuff?" And in that regard, like, it was cool to have our friends come play, but we were also introduced to a lot of people that we didn't know in the area.
Right.
Because MySpace was a really cool tool. Like, dude, people would hit us up. There was the
I remember the Yonkers Underground MySpace page.
yeah,
Like there, I remember that.
Like, do you remember Rains for Days? Oh man, or None the Wiser.
Yeah, man.
Like,
Shout out Joe, dude. Joe fixed my amp a couple times.
Yeah.
Joe Urban.
That's right. Sarah also. So Sarah Fernandez and Joe, the guitarist and drummer from None the Wiser, are cousins, but their drummer shares the same birthday as Nelson.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Same birthday and birth year, actually.
Shout outs None the Wiser. Yeah, no, I mean these are all throwbacks for anyone who doesn't know. None the Wiser, Daly's Gone Wrong, the Cleve Agents. These are all bands that were like in the Westchester community then, and these people are still in capacity. And like Daly's Gone Wrong is still plays shows, even though they're all grown ups and doing their own like lives. They still play shows every once in a while. And then you got, like I said, Joe Urban. He's still he's fixing amps and building amps and like doing custom like work like that,
man
which
is
that's
an
really cool stuff.
engineer and a brilliant man. If you don't know,
Yeah, that's his stuff is cool. He's fixed my amp before. All right, so cool. So all right, so that's like kind of I guess the intro to this like DIY stuff for you guys, like Nelson booking shows and you kind of being a part of it and seeing it.
Yeah.
So all right, so Plan of Attack is your band at the time. You do that whole thing. What comes after Plan of Attack? I'm trying to remember the timeline.
Plan of Attack. So
Was it The Last I Heard?
No. So after Plan of Attack, going into dude, it was like Rough Landing.
Oh, Oh, yeah. I forgot about. I'm skipping
That's
like a
right.
whole
That's-
era, dude.
Yeah, that's when I jumped from playing guitar to playing drums.
You played with Remember Venice too.
Yeah, and that was post that. So I played drums. I stopped playing guitar. No, you know what it was? Even at that time when I was like 16, 17, I was jumping around between instruments because I had gotten really interested in playing drums from one of the first bands that I had played in. I had played in a band when I was a freshman in high school. It was me, my brother Nelson, Adam, this kid Chris Florin, and Chris's brother, I think. And in that band, I played guitar. That band was probably a band for like a year and a half, but that band made me really want to play drums.
Cool.
Because we were always hanging out, and I always wanted to like get behind the kit. So by the time I was 16, I started playing drums, and I started.
Did you have a drum kit in your house already?
I had bought a kit from a kid in high school sophomore year, and it was like the most beat up, broke down. Like my folks on my birthday took me to Sam Ash to get heads. Yeah, for real. Nelson's so right. Like it's really hard to even put this timeline in perspective because I played so much music with so many bands in such a short amount of time.
Well, that's great. That's how you learn about
for
different
sure.
people and different.
It was incredible. I feel really lucky to have had that experience and to have been able to do that. But definitely, like, I was playing drums maybe like 2.5 to 3 years after I started playing guitar.
Which is funny because now I think that I mean, I know you consider yourself more of a drummer, and I think people widely recognize you more as a drummer than they do a guitar player. But when I first met you, you were a guitar player.
Yeah.
Like when I first saw you play, you were playing guitar, and I didn't even know you played drums for like a while until you did fill in for us a handful of times. My old band, Green Eggs and Mayhem, our drummer Ed, I remember he dipped out for I think like a couple months. I think he had a family thing.
No, but even prior to that, he had broken his arm
Oh,
skating.
that was it. He broke his arm skating, and he dipped out for a couple months. So
guys-
you were always our guy. You were like our go-to guy to fill in.
Yeah, which is so great because like, dude, like I went to school right around the corner from this same house, right? And like I'd get out of school and come to your fucking house, and like your mom would just be super cool and be like, "Oh, is there like?" It was like the typical like, "Oh, you like the boys are gonna complain. Can I grab you like lemonade and cookies?" And like it was always really sweet and always fun, and I always felt like family coming here. You know what I mean? And
awesome.
like,
That's
yeah.
awesome. It's dude, we caused a lot of ruckus in this neighborhood, but I do love coming back and like playing music. That was like the one thing that kept us out of trouble from like going and messing around in the neighborhood a lot.
And that's what I mean. And I know for me that like music came to me right as I was at the end of middle school, where I had a really hard time. Like I was bullied a lot of middle school. I was a big kid. I was 350 pounds at the peak of my weight in my lifetime. And I was bullied a lot because of it. I had a unibrow until I was 18. And I mean, like, I still have a unibrow. I just fucking shave it, is really what I'm saying. But, well, like...
Frankie Mozzarella, Fat Boy Nation.
The Fat Boy Nation, you know what it is, kid. Like, yeah, and so for me, music came at the end of a really shitty era and the beginning of an incredible one, where high school was a place where I met a lot of good people. I was introduced to music that shaped my life, music and literature that shaped my life, and people who are still here with me today. You know,
same.
and so like I feel really, really lucky, but I feel very lucky that music was a part of my life. And that's why I advocate so hard for music to be in the lives of younger people, because
dude, I mean, like I wouldn't be the human I am if it wasn't for it, which is kind of funny. Like some people like look at things and I think they take I think that people it's gonna get a little off topic, but I think that people take success these days in strides of like how much you have. And I think in a physical capacity, like how much you have physically, like, oh, do you have a lot of money? Do you have a lot of things?
Your like tangible value.
Or your tangible value, where I way more look at success of like, what have you done?
Yeah.
And, right? Like, and like, I don't, like, money doesn't mean a whole lot to me, even though it would be nice to be financially stable. Yeah. It's like, and without music, I don't know what I would have done, because pretty much most of the like really like things I'm like super proud of in my life and that I've done have been revolved around music or skateboarding. But honestly, those two things very much so tied together in my life. Yeah. Like they were coincided, you know, like those things were the same in my eyes.
Dude, absolutely. 100% I feel you. Music is one of the most beautiful gifts that people are just like, I don't like using the word blessed, because I feel like it has a lot of religious fucking things. But like we are really lucky that we have music in our lives and that it's so universal that everyone gets it. Yeah. Everyone understands. Yeah. You know? Yep. That's why for me, and I know again we're getting off topic, but for me, like now, like to skew off this timeline, the music that I fucking write and the music that I enjoy writing is instrumental music. Yeah. Because it's the most, for me, like relatable music that you can write for someone or for a large, broad audience, because it's kind of like, I want you to feel this thing, and I'll like write a title, and that's all you get, and whatever you feel from it is what you get, and if you agree, cool, and if you don't, and it's a different story for you, that's still cool because that's how you interpreted it.
Yeah, I think that even lyrical music means I almost don't like when artists explain what their lyrics mean, because it's almost like I
Yeah.
like to keep it as an interpretation of like, oh, what are they talking about? But like I see how it relates to me, because even my own lyrics sometimes I look back 3 years later, I'm like, yo, this still means something to me, but kind of in a different way now.
Yeah.
And it's like
That's
that's always like a really interesting thing, like how like you wrote this thing at this time and you remember the time you wrote it and why you wrote it, but then 3 years later you're like, wow, I still resonate with this, but for some reason it's completely different. Like things have happened now that like I understand it in a different capacity. Yeah, no, for sure.
I feel that. I'm
All right, so then moving on, like moving past that, I think that
while we're
no, dude, do your thing.
no, I'm gonna call Amjad and ask him to fucking ask him to bring us beer.
AJ, if you're watching, bring us 2 beers.
He's not watching because he's probably dilly dallying with his electronics.
Yeah, so yeah, just shoot him a text, ask him to bring us, or you want me to shoot him a text? But so I was gonna say was moving on from there, like you and I, when I went to college, we started a band.
Hey, could you come downstairs and bring us some beer, please? You're the best. Thank you.
Calling in the middle of the stream. We're getting 2
Yo,
beers.
he's the fucking man.
We're
I
getting
just
2
want to
beers
go
delivered.
on record and say that Amjad's the shit. He really came through. This nigga was like, yeah, and then just hung up.
All right. So when I got out of, when I went to college, I remember going into college and, not knowing what I wanted to do musically at all. Like literally, dude, I thought I was gonna start a ska-ish, reggae-ish type project. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was really confused. But then I remember talking to Brandon and you, and we started One Fell Swoop.
Oof.
Which like for me was like a huge part of my life after that. Like
Yeah.
it was the thing that taught me so much. Like I learned so much from that experience. But that experience started with us, right? Like me, you, and Brandon, and then we brought some other people.
Yeah. And that was cool too. Like that was one of those things in our lifetime where we really were like, yo man, do you wanna like start playing music together? Yo, you're the fucking man.
Dad, I love you.
I love you so much. I want to eat your butt and then nut on it.
Woo.
Oh, he opened it. He opened it. I
He
didn't
opened
need
it.
to open it.
No.
What a good man.
Nope. Yep. He
Yo.
opened it.
Yo, cheers.
I got the 90-minute.
I got the fresh Chester. Dude,
The lights are
has
set.
this been going on this whole time?
Yeah. That's what when you hit that pad. That's what happened before.
Yo, I'm fucking high as shit. I'm so dumb. I'm so dumb. Oh man, yeah. One Fell Swoop was fucking awesome, dude.
Yeah. So all right. So let's talk. Let's really quick. So basically, we started this band. We recorded a demo. We realized that the entry level of what this band was not really what we wanted it to be. However, we did get to play a show with our collective, and by collective I mean you're pretty much our favorite band.
Yeah.
Which even though we sucked and we were very underprepared for that moment,
Listen.
I think we have that to share, that we got to play with Bayside
Yeah.
in 2012.
All right. I'm a person who, like, in private, for sure, will gloat about certain things. I will. I totally will. Because I think that everyone should take a certain sense of pride in the things that they have accomplished in their life or
Yeah.
the things that they are fucking proud of.
Agreed. I think that people often they confuse confidence with arrogance.
Well, yeah. I mean,
I think confidence and arrogance are two different things. I think you can be
Yeah.
very confident because you're proud. I think rubbing it in other people's faces is the difference.
Absolutely.
And using it in a selfish way is the difference.
For sure. And so this, for me, goes back to our conversation before. By the way, you fucking bull bags. I'm lighting this fucking joint. So I think it goes back to our conversation before about how you measure success. For me, I grew up in a time where I started playing music, and I didn't ever think about it as something where I was gonna go and play in a band and make $1 million and spend
No one
three and a
did.
half years on the
I
road.
don't think anyone
No,
did.
no, 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 no. Stop. Rewind, sir.
Sorry.
Take a step.
Okay.
Because there are a lot of people in this world who even still to this day think that they're going to fucking start a band and become rock stars and become millionaires. You know?
Guess.
I don't.
I just
like,
never thought. I never thought about that because I think I think the
Oh,
people that do that
we still
are
had
people that already have a lot of shit.
Dude, CDs were still the medium for us. You know, I grew up with.
But again, I
coming
think
out of Walkman cassette players and into Walkman CD players, right? It was still for me. Like I learned how to play Metallica songs at 15, 16 on guitar, right? Like the idea of being a rock star wasn't so far fetched. It just wasn't what I wanted. For me, at the point when I was playing in Rough Landing at about 16, we played a show at the Nyack Teen Center, which I'm pretty sure Nelson was the one who got us that show, and we played. It was Rough Landing, and then another band that I played in. I think the Scarlet Massacre. What do you know? And so we played this fucking show, and afterwards, these two 13-year-olds came up to us and asked us to sign the Rough Landing EP that we had burned on Carl's MacBook that we had printed the sleeve for and put into one of those 30-pack CD things that you get at Best Buy or Circuit City at the time, right? And so those kids asking to sign that, being able to do those things, being able to open for that band, for me, I will be 30 next month. And at this point in my life, I've already reached a lot of those points on my bucket list.
Yeah,
I've already
same.
felt what it feels like, because all I've ever wanted for me is to see other people enjoy what I do and inspire them to want to push themselves in any way, whether it's to do that same thing or do their own thing.
Dude, that's why I started this podcast. Look at the name of it. Be yourself, do it yourself. I literally just decided I want to go talk to all my friends and people I don't know and have some cool conversations with people.
Circuit City, what up?
Circuit City, shout out. But yeah, I just wanted to have conversations with people to see hey, other people do cool shit. We should talk to, and we should lift up the voices of people doing cool shit, because I think it shows other people that you can do a cool thing too, and you don't have to have a lot to do that.
Well, so that's why I also think what you're doing is incredible, because you look at your very first episode and you talk to someone like Mike Terry, right? Dude, that dude has been everywhere.
Europe, he's been all around the United States. He's opened up for Less Than Jake, on tour. He's done everything. And that guy is still the most DIY dude I know, man. He doesn't ever. He never expected a thing.
Exactly,
he's the kind of guy.
That motherfucker busted his ass for every single thing that he has gotten. Dude.
Busted his ass.
You know, and that's what I mean. That I am envious of him, but not because of the things he's done, but because of his drive. Because the amount of work that you have to do to continue to do that, and to continue to have the fucking the love for yourself and the drive to push yourself to be we can still do this, you know, because this industry and what we do is fun and it's incredible, but it's tough. It's not.
It's super
it's
hard.
Glamorous from the outside, but it's hard, dude. We don't make
hard.
a lot of money. It's a labor of love. And
this unemployment is the most money I've ever made in my fucking life.
For real, dude.
Government giving me money is the most money I've ever made, and then when it dries up next week, I'm I'm gonna go back to friggin' I don't know, making no money again.
Yeah, well, what does that tell you about the way our society's built?
Exactly. Yeah, no, for sure. But yeah, so we got to do this cool thing. We got to play shows, and then Donald split off with the band, and at the time, I was bummed, but I got it. And then I think it also kind of bopped into reality for me what I was supposed to do next with that band, and what was supposed to be the real move. Because when the band first started, when One Fell Swoop started, I wasn't the singer. I didn't sing anything. But I kind of recognized that I think this might be the move. And at the time it wasn't because I was I want to be the singer of the band, but honestly it was because I was more I think with this direction we're gonna get more shit done. If that make I think we were being held back.
Yeah,
And when
100%.
I recognized that we were being held back by individuals, I was more like, it's not. I don't want to be held back because I really want to do this music thing and I really want to play and I had goals. Like you said, like I didn't have my goals with One Fell Swoop were not to be the biggest band ever. My goals were to tour. I was like, I want to go on tour.
Yeah.
That looks sick.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, I just want to travel and go on tour.
It's the most fun that you could ever have ever as a musician, I believe. I think as a musician there are a lot of different ways to feel a sense of gratification depending on the type of person that you are. For me, because of the music that I was exposed to, things like Blink-182 is like being my first like real band that I latched onto, and then like I don't know, in 2000 having a computer where I could watch or download on like Kazaa or something like.
Dude, yeah, I had Kazaa. I didn't have LimeWire. I was a Kazaa guy.
Downloading videos of Blink-182 and System of a Down playing a Big Day Out, you know, and just seeing that and being like, yo, this is a reality for people.
Yeah.
This is real.
Yeah, man.
And the music is like, they're not doing classical shit. They're not. No, it's not an opera. It's not this thing where people are like, you know, it's not the conventional thing that people think of when they're like, you know, we're gonna pay lots of money to go see this thing.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I don't know what I was gonna say, but even more so than these like giant bands for me, especially in college, it was seeing my friends like W.C. Lindsay, and I saw my best friend John Sipa was playing drums, and he was like traveling and doing this thing, and I was like, yo, that's really cool, and like if they're doing it, that means like that what seemed more attainable to me, like the DIY touring thing, because I was like, oh, they're doing it, like we could do it too, like, and I just wanted to travel and see things and be like, yo, I went on tour, and like it was like the little things and I think we both got to do that over the next, even though we broke off band wise, we still played together so much and spent a ton of time together. I mean, I remember that. Remember when the first One Fell Swoop tour was an acoustic tour?
The acoustic tour where I got really sick.
Yeah, because I didn't know how to book a regular tour. So I like just figured it out by doing an acoustic one first, because I was like, if worst comes to worst, we do open mic nights. But you guys got us on to a show and the Traveler, meaning you got us onto a show in
bar in
Somerville, yeah, that bar in Massachusetts, but then also that house show where we played with that band Bent Knee. And I'll never forget that.
Yo, because at the basement in fucking Somerville.
Me and you were sitting in a ball pit in this kid's basement watching Bent Knee. And Bent Knee, who's like pretty big now.
They're pretty fucking big.
I think they might be on like Epitaph. They're on like
dude, they toured with Dillinger for a hot minute, and
they
then,
are
like,
the
they
weirdest.
Exploded.
Yeah, they're the weirdest, coolest band you've ever seen though. Like we were just like mesmerized watching this band. There was like literally like what is there? 13 people in this basement, and we're sitting in a ball pit watching this like very strange but like incredible band.
It was the most. All right. Okay. So
I like can't even explain how wild that show was.
I will explain to you kids, for anyone watching, who you had a bunch of kids who all went to fucking Berkeley. Most of them went to Berkeley.
Yes.
And Ben Levin was one of the guys in this band too. He's just brilliant.
He's a guitar player?
Yeah, the one who looks like a mad scientist.
Yes.
Yeah. So he has his own band, which is also crazy as fuck. But all these people are just like, they are musicians. They are like top level musicians, and what I mean by that, because it's not a disparaging comment to anyone who's not at this level, but these people understand music on a level that is just like what we consider to be like the muchismos or the fucking like they're all just so incredibly talented that they just don't think, they just feel and they play. And so to watch them play and to watch them all kind of like go in and out of this weird fucking crazy shit and then slam back on like the one and then just all while out. You know, the music is just, it's out there, but they're so good. And it was weird because we were sitting in a ball pit and they're just fucking weird,
Yeah, dude, but
But it was
yeah, no, but it's cool because it's just like a cool story of like literally later the year we played with Bayside, later that year, that's when that happened, and we were, even though you had left the band, we were still going out and playing shows together in other states.
yeah.
We were going out. This was Massachusetts. We were in, like we were in other states playing shows together, doing the thing, and I think we continued to hold that together for a long time, and I don't know, it's just cool to think of like we've come a long way, man.
Yeah,
we just like for this whole conversation so far, we literally came from us being 12 years old to us being 20. Well, I was like like
20s?
I'm talking. I was 12 years old to like 20 years old. 2021.
Like 15 to
Yeah, 23, 24.
23, 24, yeah.
And
this one I was playing in the Traveler for a little while. Also, plug because
you
I
got
own,
med CDs still.
yo, I own 4 of these shirts.
That's it.
For anyone who's watching this.
Nice.
So
He's gonna wear another one tomorrow.
So I have to space them out whenever I go to work, so that people don't think I'm wearing the same fucking shirt. But this one is also a medium, and then the other 2 that I have are 2 larges, and then one of them is an extra large.
Oh, nice. You got the different sizes.
So I got like the different sizes to also kind of. So like if anyone, some days people are like, "Oh man, Donald, your shirt's like looking really stretched out," and then some days they're like, "Oh, you're looking really fit," and I'm like, "Nah, bro, I'm wearing the medium."
Oh my god, dude.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That's what happens when you play in a band. I'm sorry. Like I used to be.
You got a lot of
such
T-shirts.
a fucking asshole. I
Just
remember
steal the
watching.
shirts.
Yeah, well, no, I mean not even like with my own bands, but with other bands. When I was like 16, 17, I watched a video of Metallica playing.
Okay.
And I think Jason Newsted was still playing bass for them.
Okay.
And they played at MSG. Jason Newsted is wearing a Metallica shirt.
That's fire.
I was like,
Kerry King does that shit every time he plays.
I was like,
always wears a Slayer shirt.
Fucker. And not only is he just, it's like a plain black T-shirt that just
Yeah.
is Metallica on. I was like, this motherfucker. Are you kidding me? I was like, you're in the biggest band in the world. You don't have enough money to buy yourself just a plain ass black T-shirt or anything. You're wearing your own band's merch.
Yeah.
Because you didn't want to spend the $10 on a T-shirt.
That's fire though. That's
right.
That's
like,
fire. Honestly,
that's a power move.
That's
right?
I respect that shit hard.
Oh shit.
All right, so we're like we're a little like we're about an hour into this conversation.
Yo.
I think I definitely like one I'm down to keep talking for a little bit, but I was gonna
Whatever
say
you want to do.
I think that I will end up having you back more than this if you're cool with that.
Yeah, dudes. I'm a fucking. I'm here to do it.
But I would love to talk
Yeah.
a little bit about. I know we talk a lot about our upbringing. We went through And the Traveler and One Fell Swoop, but we've done shit since then. Like, let's be real. It's probably been 6 years since that point. 6, but like,
Yeah,
let's talk about
2020.
coffee for a minute,
Hey,
because
let's talk about
coffee is
coffee.
the other big
'Cause I can't
thing
do so.
in your life.
It is the biggest thing in my life outside of music.
Yeah. So where did that start? I know you said something about Pelham when you were a teenager. Is that where that started? Is that where coffee started for you?
That was my first job. I was 13. My brothers got me the job at this cafe, and I worked there for maybe 3 years.
Yeah.
2.5, 3 years. And then I worked at Starbucks.
I remember that.
And that was
Bronx River Road, shout out.
Yeah, Bronx River. Yeah. And I worked there my senior year of high school, and then the first year that I went to Five Towns, and maybe 6 months after that. And so by like the end of 2009, I started working at Coffee Labs.
Okay.
And Coffee
remember
Labs
that.
was my introduction into specialty coffee, which is like a completely different world. And it was just super interesting. I didn't like coffee for 5 years of working in coffee. And I mean, I was working
Like Starbucks, you didn't drink coffee when you worked there?
No, when I worked at Starbucks, I drank caramel fraps, which
is a sweet drink.
Yeah, which we're living in a time where God forbid I get fucking arrested for giving out trade secrets. All I'm gonna say is, at the time that I was working there, what I was given was came in a box container, and or came in a bag of powder, and that's what you were drinking when you came and got frappuccinos at Starbucks.
Gotcha.
That was the base of your drink.
Got it.
Anyway, and so that's what I was drinking.
Shout out Starbucks.
Shout out.
They sponsor the podcast.
Yo, do we have a Starbucks?
We have corporate sponsors on this podcast, and Starbucks is indeed not one of them because I don't have any corporate sponsors. Anyway.
The podcast you were listening to is sponsored by Starbucks Coffee Company. So
they use prison labor. Anyway. Fucked up.
Yo, fuck them. So, so I kind of, after working at this cafe for like 2.5 years and then working at Starbucks, the first thing that I shot for when I wanted a new job was a job at a coffee shop. Because I had the experience and I thought it would be the easiest place to go to from there.
Makes sense.
It was never a thing where I wanted to be in this industry, but working at this place ended up being the spark that started the want and need to work in coffee.
Gotcha.
Because they made coffee interesting and they showed me the specialty coffee side of things. They were the only place in Westchester that was doing specialty coffee in 2009, 2010, maybe the Black Cow in Croton. But like there weren't a lot of places that you could go and get like a Peekskill coffee house, right? Like there weren't a lot of places that you can go and get good coffee.
Gotcha.
And so
was Slaves at the Grind there?
Slaves of the Grind has been how old am I? Yeah, because they're like 27, 28, 29.
Okay. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, but Slave was never a place for me to go to because I never liked going into Bronxville.
Yeah, I feel that.
As a young man for other reasons.
I can totally get that.
Yeah, and so, but that's neither here nor there. They're, I think, a great place. Support your local coffee shop.
Go to Slaves of the Grind if you want.
But yeah, so it was just this place where I was exposed to a lot of the cool parts of coffee culture, and it made me want to find out more. Coffee is like coffee. If you want it to be, can be like a fine food.
Right.
There are people who will spend upwards of $1,000 to go to a restaurant where they will have an experience. And I think that there are certain coffee places where if you found the right place, you could spend $50 for a 12-ounce cup of coffee.
That's
and it might
incredibly fucking nuts to me.
I know. It sounds
$8.
crazy.
I'm like, what the?
Yeah, but you know what? Think about like a good portion of the reason why these coffees cost this much money, where it's like $50 for a fucking cup, or like even $8 for a cup, is not because this place is a bougie ass fucking coffee shop or any of that bullshit that people want you to believe.
Right.
It's because this coffee costs this much money because the farmers are getting this much money.
Right.
98% of the time. I can't speak for every coffee shop everywhere, but I know that a lot of the coffees that are sourced ethically and the coffees that are won from places like Cup of Excellence, coffees that are won in competitions, or coffees that are sourced properly and have farmers who bust their motherfucking asses, who don't know that their 12-ounce bag of coffee is being sold for $22 at the coffee shop when they sold an entire fucking kg for way less than that, dude.
Yeah.
For under $1 a fucking pound. Like it just it's one of the things that where I will always argue if I know that this money is going to someone who is busting their ass every single day to cultivate a product that
of course
is worth it.
That's
and especially coffee that's taken care of like that is like a fine wine. I think.
Yeah, no, for sure. So let me ask you, did you ever find any similarities in the like. So for you, you're I don't know if this is the right terminology, but you are a latte artist.
Yeah, I would like to think so.
That's
Yeah.
that's like a is that terminology? Is that
Yeah, that's
is
cool.
Is that accurate? Okay.
I will take that. I'll take a latte artist. I'll take a barista. For anyone who wants like a finite definition, a barista is your coffee bartender.
Cool.
Okay?
Got it. Word. So what I was gonna say is did you? I don't know. It seems like when we talk about it, you go to these like contests and you go to these like big conventions and like I don't know. I think that it has there's obviously a big community aspect to all of that to
Yeah.
the coffee world like that people don't like for me. I mean, coffee is the thing I drink in the morning.
Right.
But like for you, coffee is like a community.
Yeah.
It's a community,
'cause
and I think
they're-
that's a different. Like I don't know. It's like that brings it almost into this DIY culture thing. Like
Yeah,
it's
for
like
sure, dude.
you're bringing yourself into like more than just me drinking a cup of coffee in the
and
morning.
that's like the craziest thing to see kind of when I look back on it now and see the culture that I'm surrounded by with now. So when I started in specialty coffee in 2009 2010,
Yeah.
I worked at a place where the owner was someone who had won a bunch of coffee competitions. You know, he had won a bunch of latte art competitions.
Word.
And latte art has, from that time, it's moved the same way technology has moved. It's just continued to expand. The way that like people understand the process of steaming milk better. They understand different spouts and pitchers. They understand different flow rates, different thicknesses in milk or density, right? Different temperatures. Like all these things affect the way that this process comes about. And so as people have come to understand it better and have gotten better with it, latte art has exploded from what it was when I was introduced to it to now, which is about 11 years later. You know, it's like, it's incredible. The people that I follow on Instagram, they're making like full portraits of animals.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You know, and for me, I'm like, I just want to perfect making a feather, making a heart, making the side profile of a tulip. You know, it's crazy to see that people have taken it and made it like a real art form where it feels like I'm watching someone work with a brush.
Yeah, I think that that happens to everything. If we're being real, like everything in the world, when like someone starts doing a thing,
And that you get like really into.
and then they get really into people, and then like a community rallies around it, like people just get so into it that it
Yeah.
becomes like, whoa! Like look at skateboarding, dude. Like people used to joke around about how like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, you could like do grinds and then kick flips in the middle of your grinds, and then like now
And
there's
now
like
people are doing
14
it
now
too.
there's like 14-year-olds doing that, you know. So it's like.
Yep.
So it's like I think that that seems accurate to everything in the world, like technology, right? Like when did we ever think that technology was going to be what it is? And then look at where we're at. Like people just take a thing and they run with it and they make it greater and greater. But that's cool. I feel like I watch a lot of your stuff and I'm always like interested by it.
Yeah.
And I know you've explained to me like the idea of like symmetry and how it has to be like perfectly symmetrical for it to be like good. Because you'll show me one and you'll be like, this is a bad pour, and I'm like.
Right.
Sure,
Yeah,
dude.
it's-
I don't.
it's funny,
Like
'cause,
I don't
like-
know.
Well, it's because of so the same way that we were talking about measuring success. It's like, for me, latte art it's a beautiful thing, and it's something that complements the work that I do. You know,
Yes.
but there's so much else in coffee that I'm really excited about.
Right.
You know, when my boss asked me, like, and that was one of the coolest things. He asked me last week. He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna make the coffee order for what coffees we're gonna sell for retail."
Mm-hmm.
And every month he'll stock 3 roasters, like different roasters from around the country, just to offer different coffees to people. And it made me stop and think and be like, fuck, I don't have a suggestion, but I want to have a suggestion, you know? And just that thought to be like, all right, cool. So now I have a bunch of coffee like roasters around the country that I can like go and explore,
Right.
that I can think about, and that I can do a little bit of research. And so that's fun. Or like finding these new processes that the actual farmers are working with in terms of how they're washing their coffee
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. Like that is cool. That's fun. And those are just different aspects of coffee. You know, the latte art is incredible. I feel like it helps me maintain a good milk texture for the drinks that I'm making one after the other on a day.
That makes sense.
But I think it's just one part.
It's also like a creative part of it.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the things that like you can get really creative and have a lot of fun with.
Right.
But what I'm learning now, especially because of the pandemic, which is crazy, because like the pandemic has happened, we've watched civil unrest be at like an all-time high, and just see that the world is like it's going through the motions of being like fueled with a lot of fire, and then like I don't know, it's calmed down in a sense, but everyone's still on edge and kind of waiting, and like and so for me, the importance that I put into latte art and wanting it to be like this prime achievement in my life is kind of like subsided. And now that I don't care about that as much, my latte art is the best it's ever been.
That's awesome.
Because
it's like you're not as I think sometimes
because I just like don't care.
You need to take a step back.
Yeah,
you need to take a step back and just be like, oh look, but then also like your muscle memory and all your shit that you like the work you put in is there, and you're like, oh wait, no, but I'm actually good at this because I put a lot of time into this.
And I understand also that it's not like that there are days, because there were days where I would be having great days and I'd be ripping latte art, dude, and then like I just couldn't do anything right after that for the rest of the day. And I get so frustrated, and I'd be like, now I'm just like, dude, you know what? Some days you're on, some days you're off. But I've been consistently on recently, and I think it's just because I don't put importance into it. I love what I do, and latte art is a cherry on top. And when I rip something that looks beautiful, I'm really happy about it.
Right.
And when I do something and it's not as good, if the drink tastes right, I could give a shit what it looks like.
Dude,
you know, and it's just like for me, I gotta do
awesome.
the best that I can do every single time. Otherwise, like I could really care.
Dude, so I think the thing that the pandemic has taught me the most is very similar to that, and it's that you just have to do a lot of the thing that you want to do, but not put too much immense pressure on that thing, because I think that is the hole that people fall into. I think everyone thinks that everything has to be perfect all the time for the first time you do it. Like, for example, I forgot to hit record on this fucking podcast, dude. I can download it from Twitch, so I know I can get it. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just these like, it's like, you don't. This doesn't have to be perfect.
I'm the one who's been smoking this whole time.
Right, like this doesn't have to be. Nothing has to be perfect, and people have to stop making it out to be like it has to be, because I think you learn a lot more by not being perfect. And
well, yeah, dude. Let me tell you,
you learn way more by just fucking doing a thing and like sucking at it.
Right, 100%. So at the beginning of the pandemic, like right after Coffee Fest, right? So I won, and this is what's really cool for me about Latte Art 2 and moving into this year. So I competed in World Latte Art Championship Open in New York, which at this point in time, with the way that the world is looking, is going to be the only Coffee Fest sanctioned competition that happens this year.
Okay, that's cool that there is any.
Yeah, there's normally 3 that happen, and last year they introduced a 4th so that it would be 4 every year.
Word.
And so I got to compete in this thing. It was the most nerve-wracking thing I've ever done in my life, which is crazy. Because, and anyone who knows me, anyone who's watching and knows me knows that I don't give a fuck about anything. And I mean anything. One of my favorite things is to be in front of a group of people and be public speaking. I think public speaking is one of the most incredible things. You know, I don't believe that I'm a well-spoken person.
Same.
But I just don't care about being in front of a group of people. If I have something to say, I'm gonna fucking say it, and that's what it is.
I'm pretty similar. I think you're a little bit more boisterous than I am.
Like I don't know. I've been very lucky.
I'm okay with putting myself out there, but you're just loud.
Well, I grew up with fucking. You know what? You wanna know why? Because I grew up with fucking Jim Carrey and The Simpsons. early 90s
There you
Simpsons
go.
and early 90s Jim
There
Carrey.
you
That's
go.
why.
There
That
you
is
go.
why. Is that a Pee Wee Herman?
Yeah, dude.
Well,
I don't know if
that
it
as well.
bounces across the screen. I don't know if it bounces across the screen on this one.
But
Like it does the shakeout one, but wasn't paying attention.
yeah, but I just feel like public speaking, easy. Playing music in front of, if I had to play music in front of like 100,000 people,
I think I could do it.
right? Like
I don't even. I
like
wouldn't even. I would be a little nervous.
you'd be nervous, but the minute you hit in, you just
I'll be
you
back
play,
and ready.
right?
Let's go, bro. I know what I'm doing.
Dude,
Let's get it.
dude, making latte art in front of like 200 people.
Yeah, scary as fuck. Well, that was you were there for this. You were there for my senior recital.
Yeah.
Jazz section, easy. Playing classical guitar in front of people. Dude, I was nervous. I was shaking nervous. Like
That's
that.
so funny
There's
'cause
certain
it
things where
wasn't-
you're.
that was something that was not even like, I don't think anyone noticed that, dude.
And I'm sure you could say the same about your latte art. I'm sure no one really
Oh
knows.
no, everyone knew. Everyone knew because I had my friend Javi, who is one half of Espresso State of Mind, and he like sat and talked to me right before I went up to pour.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of walked me through my whole thing, to like my breathing, and he's like, when you go to steam the milk, he's like, make sure you take like 2 to 3 deep breaths, and right before you go to pour, he's like, make sure you exhale. He's like, do not inhale when you go to pour.
Okay.
And it was just like that was the reason why I poured something and even placed my drink down. I was shaking the entire time. I was so nervous, and if it wasn't for that advice, I probably would have spilled. I would have tried to remake a second drink because they give you 2.5 minutes to make 2 drinks.
Yeah.
And so if you don't like the first drink you make, you can make a second one.
Okay.
But it has to be dropped on the plate that presents on before the 2.5 minute mark.
You have to carefully just
Well, it depends. I mean,
put that shit down so it doesn't get fucked up.
one of the criteria is harmony, overall harmony with the cup, which is like how much the actual image is like encapsulates the entire cup.
Okay.
But this can also mean how filled the cup is. So if it's underfilled, if it's filled to the brim, or if there's like a dome. Like those are 3 different qualifications, which like depending on what your opponent poured can come into the point thing. So the fact that I poured something and even submitted it, and I competed against the guy who won in 2018 in Colorado. It was like Mason Marth.
Yeah, we talked about this.
Yeah,
I remember you saying
that dude
this.
pours fire. Like he literally like his
Yeah.
there was no contest, but I'm happy that I went and competed.
Yeah, it was an
Right.
experience.
It was and it was so nerve-wracking. And now, when I think about competing, and there's a guy who runs a company called Sexy Batch, and they're a cookie company. They sponsor a lot of the throwdowns.
Okay.
After one of the competitions, I was really bummed out, and I went and hung out with him, and I took pictures and helped him do some promo stuff. And I talked to him because he does CrossFit, and he does a lot of different competitions. And I was like, yo, how do I get over being bummed that I lost? And he's like, dude, because this is the cherry on top. This is you with your friends. This is you enjoying yourself. It's not about winning or losing. Winning is fun. And going out and doing the thing and trying to win is great. Being here, being with this community, it's way bigger than
100.
any of that, And
100.
that really leveled my ego and made me be like, oh, cool, right. You're right. Because a year ago, I didn't know this community was around and I didn't know that I could be a part of this.
You wanted to prove something, which is like,
yeah.
I think that yeah, I see that within bands too, like where you see like a band wants to be doing the thing that the other band is doing. I mean, it's just like, bro, like if you're in this community, you're here. What's good? Like, welcome.
Exactly.
Welcome. Like, this is it. Like, no one's better than anyone else. We're not if you know, it's just not about. It should never be about that. I think that goes back to our lesson during the pandemic, which is you just do and you don't put a lot of pressure on what you do.
Yeah.
You just fucking do it, man. Like you recognize like
that
that you're gonna get the more you do anything, the more you do those contests and those competitions, the more you're gonna be better at them because you get more used to it. You're not as nervous. Like the more anything you do, the more you do it.
Yeah.
And you also start to realize by doing, you realize what works and what doesn't work, what you're good at and what you're not that good at. And yeah, man, I think it's one a personal story is that the screen printing the T-shirts thing. I started doing that this past year, and I realized I'm not that good at it. Like I printed some shirts, I really but I'm like, not only am I not that good at it, I'm not that driven to get good at it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't really. This was a cool idea because it was just something. It was something to try. It was something to do, and I put hours in.
Yeah.
I put a lot of hours in, and I made the money back to doing the thing. Like I made I paid it off. So I'm like, all right, well, I didn't lose anything, but like, that's why
you learned a new skill, and it was a life experience, dude. Like that's the thing,
right?
I'm working a job now. You know, working at First Village has been so incredible. It's been really good for my mental health. And the owner, Luis, like when I talk to him about anything, it's almost always like I'm like, oh yeah, you know, I worked for a carpenter for like a year and a half, and we did this and that, and he's like, man, you're just like me. You've worked every single job that you possibly can, and it's like,
you
dude,
should do.
Everything that you do in life is just a good experience. It's just a good notch on your belt. If you got something good out of it and you learn something and you can apply it to your life later in life,
even if that thing is that you hated it.
Yeah.
Even if the thing is like I was like, yo, I did the like you could have done.
Guess what? Now you fucking know.
Now you know. Now you know you didn't like that thing, and that's not the thing you're gonna do.
And at the very least, you put the hours in to try.
You tried.
You know.
I think that especially. I don't know. I think that we're in a society, and now we're going off, but it's cool. This is actually a cool conversation. I think that we're in a society that tells you have to do certain things, right? We're in a society that says you have to go to school, and when you get out of school, you get a job, and if you're 22, 23 years old, like you graduated, and you're supposed to know where you're at now. And, like, you get your job now, and now you go and you start your adult life. And adult life is you're supposed to do all these things and get, go work for the city or go work for that corporation. And you get that job even though you're like, is that really what I want? And I feel like people need to more so say, yo, my 20s, I'm just going to try shit. Like, I'm really just going to try shit because especially in a work environment, your work takes up a lot of your life. And if you fucking hate what you do, man, your life for 30 years, or if you're, like, waiting for retirement, that's the thing I don't want in my life. I don't want to wait for retirement, dude.
Yeah,
I want to work. I want to work doing something I just want to be doing and, like, figure out.
It's like people are afraid. Some people are afraid
because they want stability, which is understandable. Everybody wants stability.
But the thing is, like, people need to stop putting so much emphasis on money as being the prime goal. Money is a tool. Money helps make life easier, but it does not define life.
It doesn't make life better.
You know? I think that and this I will advocate for all you that's the camera, right?
That's the camera, dude. You're looking right at it.
Make sure my finger is.
That's the
it's
camera.
pointing everywhere. So I think as a requirement for all children everywhere, that's a lie, all children in the United States, you should go live in a third world country for 3 months.
That'd be amazing.
I think it should be a requirement just to learn, just to understand. And this isn't to ever put down anyone and the experience that they've had growing up in this country, because for some people, man, from the day that they're born to the day that they die, it is not fucking easy. It's rough. And they have to work really hard. They have to work 10 times as harder, 100 times as harder as anyone else around them.
Yep.
And they
based off stupid shit, too.
Yeah.
Like, real stupid shit. Like,
yeah, but for some people, it's just a hard life.
And when I say stupid shit, I mean, like, based off, like, we're talking, like, skin color. Like that should never be never be a factor in like how hard your life is. But unfortunately,
that's what reality is.
It's reality, right? In 2020, it's reality.
Yeah, and I think for me, one of the most humbling experiences was living on the other side of the world. Living in a third world country and seeing people who had nothing and were happier than most of the people I've met in my lifetime.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. Like nothing, dude. We think of poverty as living below like a certain amount of money per year, and these people lived below that line tenfold. And
yeah,
they, like they were happy. I met a dude. I remember he came up from fucking from Kenya. No, not from Kenya. From Zimbabwe, and he was making like not wicker baskets, but like baskets and chairs and hats. And dude was selling them for practically nothing. It took him like a week to make anything.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just happy to do it. He was happy to be living in South Africa, which was better than where he came from.
Dude, I think that it's just that we emphasize too much on in a capitalist society, money equals power, and money equals like again physical things, and like we emphasize too much physical things, and like we don't, dude, you don't need shit, man. You really don't. Like, you can be happy with nothing. Like, but I guess it depends on you as a person and, like, really analyzing. Like, for me, I can confidently say that. I can confidently say that if I made fucking whatever the bare minimum I need to pay rent and to pay, like, bills and, like, eat, and maybe go out with my friends every once in a while and not spend a ton of money, and like maybe I get to travel every once in a while and not spend a ton of money. Like, I don't need lavish things, but I think that I could very confidently say that I could live my life doing those things. You need another beer?
Oh, no, it's okay.
We'll hop off soon. But I was gonna say I could confidently say that I could live my life doing those things. And if I was just happy doing the thing that made me the money to do those things, that would mean way more to me than getting a job that I didn't really want to be doing because it made me more money.
Right, but that's also like people are fucking programmed and brought up to think that that's the way that you need to be.
You gotta be humble.
Yeah, but that's also why I'm fucking advocating for music. If you motherfucking kids would just grow up playing music, you'd all grow up so much better.
Yeah,
a lot of you would smoke a lot of weed and play music and be like, yeah, dude, fucking, let me tell you something about life, bro.
I think even more than
nothing you need, dude. You don't need a fucking job. You don't need fucking anything, man. We'll fucking just smoke a bunch of weed. We'll all just find the thing that we love, and then the world will be a better place, man.
Yeah, you know what's even funnier? That I think that even more, like, music is great, but I think even more than that, it's I think we need to stop living in a generation where we coddle people so much, and we need to, like, if and when I have kids, I assume at some point in my life I'll have kids. I want to take care of those kids and I want them to be doing their thing, but I definitely do not want to baby those children. I do not. I want to show them what it is to work for something, no matter where I'm at. Like, I don't know, like, maybe I'm financially in like a really great spot. I don't know where my life is gonna turn out to be, and like I said, I don't really care about that much. But I think that it's really important that at 22 years old, like, you're not a baby anymore, and it's time to, like, here's your thing. And maybe my perception on that will change as I have kids, but like, I think we just have to teach kids that, like, yo, you want something, work for it. You know, like, even when you got kids, like, Dad, I want to get the newest Xbox. Cool. What are you gonna do for it? You know, like, what are you gonna? Because I feel like for me, like, my parents instilled that in me. Like, you didn't just, like, as much as they, like, they helped me along the way with doing so many things, and I'm so grateful for that. They didn't just give me things; they showed me that you had to do something for it, which instills this idea that, like, you gotta if you want something, you gotta work for it. It doesn't just happen. Yep. And things aren't just handed to you. And I think that
That's super important, dude.
I think that leads to the DIY mentality, man. That is the do it yourself mentality. You want
That's
some
right.
shit to get done, you fucking do it. You want to do something, do it.
Hashtag reinvent the American dream. Is that what that says?
Yeah,
I'm blind as fuck, bro.
It says hold on.
It says eat
Yeah.
my ass. Hashtag eat my ass American dream. I
Yeah.
see that. I see you, bro.
Yeah, no,
I see.
Frank's right, dude. Reinvent the American dream, dude. Like, American dream doesn't have to be money, but American dream should just be working hard towards the thing that makes you happy. That's it. If it doesn't make you happy, especially if you're in your 20s, you don't have to be fucking doing it.
Yeah, the
Stop
problem
fucking
is
doing
not,
it. Like,
you know,
if you're
people
really
aren't all-
miserable, stop. Because you're going to be miserable, even more miserable when you're 50, and you're going to be like, damn, I spent 30 years doing that shit.
Yeah, well, luckily we also live in a place where you, even if you were stuck for 30 years, like people, there's no timeline for anyone. Like you're not,
No.
for anyone who might feel stuck anywhere, you're not, like, there's so many people who reinvent themselves and restart their careers many years later.
100%.
Many years later.
I'm trying to get my dad to do that right now.
Yo, have him become a chef. Top chef. Yeah.
I'm trying to get. He's recently retired. He's recently retired, so finances are not as important anymore when you have a pension. So now
That's
it's kind of like,
right.
yo, you could just do a thing, whatever, do it. Like it's time, just do it.
I advocate for him to be a chef.
I advocate for him to start a
Yo,
podcast about Kiss,
Yo.
because it's a little more. I think it's a little more up his alley and a little.
Or he could
straightforward.
be like fucking Gordon Ramsay. It's fucking raw.
All right, you wanna hop off?
Yeah, yo. If you ain't with it, then oh God, fuck, I got nothing, guys. I'm sorry.
I think the ending of this conversation was really good. You know why?
because we eat butt.
But no, yes. But I think it was good because we ended with the exact title of this podcast, which is Be Yourself, Do It Yourself. Yo, if you want to do some shit, just go out and do it, and don't let anyone tell you that you can't. And also don't put too much pressure. Pandemic rule. We're going to call that the pandemic rule from this podcast. Don't put too much pressure and just do a thing a lot of times and see if it works and if you like it and if you want to keep doing it. And then the minute you don't want to anymore, you can always stop.
Yes.
Like no
Also-
one is keeping you from ever continuing to do a thing. So
Also, for anyone watching out there, and this isn't for me.
yes.
Because,
Also plug some shit at the end of this.
Yeah, I'm gonna plug some shit right now. Because I personally am very fortunate that I get paid a really, really, really good wage. I
Must be nice.
Yeah, no,
Just
it
kidding.
is. It is really nice. I feel very fortunate as a person who works in service to be paid properly for the work that I do.
Word.
But there are a lot of people in this same industry and people who work in service, especially at a time like now during COVID-19, who are still working and still out, like, offering services to people and putting themselves in a place where they may not feel comfortable. And so, from me to anyone who is watching this, if you're going out to a fucking restaurant, if you're going out to a coffee shop, if you're going out anywhere, tip the motherfuckers
Yes.
who are making shit for you. Tip the people who are there. Tip the people who are getting up early in the morning to be there for you. Again, I'm not advocating for me because I make a fucking livable ass wage. But
Tight.
I
don't.
work in an industry where I know a lot of people who don't, and a lot of people who rely on their fucking tips to make up a portion of their of the pay that they make on a daily. And the fact that they're still going out in these kind of conditions and people are still fighting with people in my industry about having to wear a fucking face mask when you go up to a window for 5 minutes to order a cup of coffee.
Wear your damn mask. Corey Taylor does it, goddammit.
That's right.
For an entire 3-hour set.
I have to wear a face mask for 8 hours at a time for a shift. I get to take it off when I go to the bathroom, when I walk outside, and when people walk out, when I get to stuff my face with espresso or something to eat very quickly. There's a lot of sanitizing that goes on. My hands fucking hurt from the amount of cleaning that we have to do. So please tip your fucking servers and your service people. And also, like, yo, if your partner asks you to eat their butt, like, eat their butt. Like, I don't understand why you guys are being so difficult. Just eat their butt.
All right. Well, on that, is there places that people should follow you, Donald? I don't anticipate this being as we spoke before. I don't anticipate this being the biggest podcast in the world.
It's gonna
but
be
like I might be Joe Rogan. So like if I turn into the next Joe Rogan, like this is the opportunity.
Yo, dude, right? Because like this is episode 2, right?
This is episode 2.
Yo, so the next time I'm on, it might be like episode 123, and then like I might be back on like episode.
Let's be real. You're gonna be on episode like 6.
All right, that's sick though. So by the time that people go back and like watch this shit, they're gonna be like, oh cool, there's more episodes of these douchebags talking mad shit.
Yeah.
And not for nothing, but I love watching old stuff.
Yeah, so do I.
Please, bro, I'd listen to this on my bike ride. This nigga. Stop.
Funny.
You're too kind.
I love you. I love you, Nelson.
You guys can find me on Instagram. Donnie Freshest is my main Instagram. Dundy_latte. That's DUNDY_latte is my coffee Instagram. That's where I post most of my coffee shit. And then I think Donnie_drums is my drum Instagram.
Bro, you got way too many Instagrams.
I do. I'm gonna fucking delete all of them.
I love it.
And you guys can just find me on OnlyFans
and TikTok.
And TikTok. I'm the drumming barista.
TikTok.
God, I'm such a fucking loser. I am such a loser.
Dude, I love it. Cool.
You can also find me on
Tinder.
Oh God.
This man is single.
I am, but you'll
as
never
of July 12th, 2020.
Is that what today's date is?
Yes.
I've been single for longer than that. Anyone who's watching, but also you will never find me on a dating app. Oh, you might actually. I don't think I deleted my Tinder from like 2 years ago.
No, I used Tinder for a minute. It was stupid. It was not worth it.
If y'all want to find me, y'all can find me. Y'all know what my butt looks like. If not, find my social media. DM me. I'll send you pictures of my cheeks, of my yeeks, year.
But thanks for coming, Donald. Thanks. I appreciate you. I love you.
I love coming. It's been a pleasure.
Next week's guest is I have no idea because I am wildly unprepared. And like I said, I'm just doing this thing. So just do your thing and don't put that much pressure on it. God damn it. But next Sunday, 8 p.m., I will be live here. Either I'll be live like this with somebody else or I'll just do a Zoom call this week with someone and then I'm going to stream it.
They're going to be coming.
So 8 p.m. next Sunday. This thing is going to be up on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and all that real soon. And by real soon, I'm hoping this week. My website, the914.com, will be up real soon. And again, I'm hoping this week.
Ladies and
I just gotta do it. But I got some sick T-shirts coming out soon.
We have some sick T-shirts coming out in
914,
the very, very near future. The 914 will be telling you tales from the crypt. Yes.
All right. Anyway, what he just said. Thanks for watching. If you watched live, thanks Frank. Thanks Nelson. Thanks everyone on Facebook and YouTube that we may have not seen in your comments. We appreciate you.
We like butt
we love
cheeks.
you. The Donnie Freshest episode 2.